Okay, people, I'm in Uncle John's chair here. It is May 15th, 2016. I'm going to put the title on this one, 14 years later. 14 years later, it's actually more than 14 now. It's 15. But John disappeared February 20th, 2015. Okay, so that adds on another year. So for 15 years, the Duncan clan has done absolutely nothing, people, to help me with this nonprofit. They did not want to help Uncle John, and they didn't want to help me. Right? And as I'm wandering through the house, I still talk to Uncle John every day, people. I do. Okay? And like, especially when I get into my sewing area, I said, John, what is it? What is it about the sewing area? Are you going to bring me a tea? Right? I got the night shift, you got the morning shift. Right? In other words, I'd sit up and sew to 4 or 5 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, do whatever, you know, after I tidied up and washed the floors and kids were in bed, and then I'd go sew, John would go to bed, right? I'd go to sleep around 4 or 5 in the morning, and then he'd get up at 7 or whatever. Well, John always liked to get up at 5:36 in the morning, right? So from 5:36 in the morning on, Uncle John would be up, and as I'm going to bed, he'd get up. That's kind of how the routine went, right? So he'd be there in the morning with the kids, and you know, and throughout the day I'd cook and, you know, do all the other things that I did, and Uncle John would do the garbage and wash the dishes and, you know, keep a check on everybody and answer the phone and, you know, that kind of stuff. Walk the dog, and we got a lot done, people. We founded a nonprofit, an international nonprofit. That's what we did. And, you know, 15 years later, I'm wandering through the house and I'm like, well, technically I'm like over $40,000 in debt, people. Like, when John moved in with me, he had to go bankrupt because his wife had put him into debt, okay? And because he had to go bankrupt and we lived in houses, I had to take on the debt load in order to compensate for the lack of income in order to live in a large house. Yard and furniture and, you know, deep freezes and wash machines and fridges and beds and furniture and all that other stuff. Car and, you know, just general living with the family, right? And then founded a nonprofit. And of course, Uncle John encouraged me. You do it. Just, yes. And, you know, he walked me through it. He told me never to give up and always to keep trying. And just kind of like with the yard, people. It's the same freaking thing. Like, I'm finishing up with the yard. We're putting the greenhouse glass on the roof, right? Jerry's working on that. We're finishing off Andre's shed, right? I don't know how long my landlords are going to let me live here for, but I'm not too worried about what's going to happen in 4 months from now versus the greenhouse roof will be done, Andre's shed will be done, and those will be things that I don't have to worry about anymore, right? Because that's what Uncle John would want. He'd tell me to just keep at it. So I'm wandering through the house and I'm kind of like stuck. I'm kind of stuck because, like I said, I'm over $40,000 in debt. I have like practically no income. I'm on a shoestring budget, worse than on a half of a shoestring budget, right? And I'm still trying to get things done. And I'm not feeling well, people. I have to get to the doctors and, you know, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I mean, I'm 54 years old. Is not very old to be not feeling very well, okay? Like, I should be much more in better shape than what I am. So, this family that took him, they had 14 years out of all those people. Not one became a member to the foundation and paid $30 a year for annual dues. To say to their brother, not to me, but to their brother, who used to go back and forth on his own to go visit Joan when he was able to do that, until finally about 2008, 2009, it was getting kind of rough on him and he had to start taking the kids. So he took the kids back and forth, right? And then eventually Joan just moved over here, because Joan was facing going into a long-term care ward by herself, sitting up in Victoria, waiting for these people to go visit her, and she knew they weren't going to visit her, so she moved over here, which put all that stress on me, people. And it kept me in debt, and it put me further into debt, as Uncle John was saying, you know, just hang in there, just keep going on with the yard, just keep working on nonprofit. You just, you know, don't worry. Right? Oh, fuck. So he moves in with the debt load. I take on the debt load. And then all of a sudden he gets kidnapped. I get stuck with a bigger debt load than he moved in with when he first moved into my house. Right? Well, these people, and the point of this is it the fact that these people try and convince them themselves. And whoever they're, you know, going to work, and their co-workers, like this nurse at the freaking Victoria General Hospital, how dare she show up at fucking work, throw her face around and say, I love my brother, when she wasn't there for him for the 30 years that I knew him. And not once did she ever support the nonprofit. I'm telling you, people, I sent that information with Uncle John when Uncle John was going back and forth on his own. He took the envelope, he gave it to his family, and his family, they ignored it. They ignored it until all they wanted, until they could get what they wanted, and that's why he left them, people. This is why he came to Vancouver. This is why he moved into my house, because he was getting so tired of these people taking his fucking money. If it wasn't that, they wanted his car. The ones that didn't have cars, Marilyn and Zig. They didn't have cars. Do you remember that, Marilyn and Zig, when you didn't have a fucking car and Uncle John was driving around in his big-ass car? That's all you wanted. You didn't want John. You wanted to take his car and use his car. And when you couldn't fucking do that, you wanted his money. Well, now they got their money, his money, people. Now they got his money. Well, I'm sitting here holding a nonprofit that he helped found, and it's falling apart at the seams because it's people like them that poison the other people around them. Like I say, this nurse, she can go to work and she can say, oh yes, I love my brother. Well, the fact is, you weren't there for the 30 years that I knew him, and you sure the hell weren't there in the last fucking 15 years when it was very important to help him with what he wanted to see done before he died. I'm telling you, people, he's probably sitting up in a care ward right now in some old folks' home, waiting for these people to show up and say, oh, John, we love you, but you still can't talk to the kids because you never got better. You never got better, John, so therefore you can't see the kids. Are you listening to me, people? This is what they've done to him. And they go to work and they poison the people around them and say, oh, don't listen to her. She's just on YouTube. We know what YouTube is about. It's not real. What's real is we love Uncle John. Even though we stuffed him away like some dirty fucking secret. And we took everything we could possibly take from him. We took his family away from him. We took away his grandchildren. We took away his great-grandchild. We took away his memories. We took away his hope, his aspirations, his freedom. All for his money, people. All for his money. And it makes me sick. if they're doing it to Uncle John, they've done it to thousands before him. This is your Fraser Health. This is your healthcare system. That's why you got all these homeless people running around out there with no place to go. Year after year, just getting sicker and sicker, like my daughter. With their propaganda. Oh, we're Fraser Health. We have accredited programs. Accredited thieves and liars and sneaks. That's what they have. That's what they have. How can you sit up there and profess that you love somebody when you ignore everything that he stood up and represented? Tell me that one. You ignore his family. His family, not your family. His family. He was an independent person that chose a life for himself and you robbed him of it. For the Duncan clan that are watching this, because I know you're still watching this shit. Because you got nothing better else to fucking do. Just add in some more lies. That's it. As you convince yourself that you love John. If you love him, set him free. Let him come back home. Set him free if you love him. Don't keep him locked under some freaking microscope that you can analyze what your psychological warfare and your abuse has done to him and the rest of us that are connected to him. As you poison your co-workers. You know? You tell them a lie enough times and they'll believe it. Is that it? Oh, I love John. I love John in a diaper. I like the fact that I put him there. Right? Because it was you people that fucking did that. When he left this house, he wasn't in a diaper, people. All he got was a lung infection, and they took advantage of that and doped him up and fucking kept him doped up. Made it so he couldn't walk, so that he knew that they would lock up his legs. And then they started reprogramming him to say, well, you can't see the kids because you're not better. And he never got better, people. And they didn't even have the decency to bring the phone to him and dial home the number for him so he could talk to us. As a free man. As a free man. Because they knew that if he got up on the phone and he could actually say what he wanted to say, he would have asked to come home. You honestly think he invested fucking 30 years into a family just to throw him away? You honestly think he invested and encouraged me to work on this nonprofit for 15 fucking years just to throw it away? As they take their little union 10% freaking off, 2% off the paycheck to give it to the United Way so that they can feel like they fucking contributed to society, that they're contributing to charity. You know, pay Paul to rob Peter to pay Paul. At the end of the day, it's all fucking shadow workers. Because those people out there are still homeless for as much as their union fucking charity buys. That's not what John represented, though. Uncle John actually represented helping those people out in the streets, and that's why they had to lock him up and fucking put a gag on him. Cloud over his mind with a bunch of drugs. That was the only way they could do it, was by drugging up his brain. And then they go to work and say, oh, well, we love John. John's our brother. We love him. John's my uncle. I'm his great grandniece. I love him, even though I don't even know the man. I love him. Tossing around the word I love him like it's freaking confetti. Rice. You know? Water balloons. I love John. Let's throw some water balloons around just to prove that point. I don't remember the title of this video. I just know that these people don't love John. Okay? They never loved John. And that's the point. They never loved John.